Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well, hope you're all doing fantastic, and that you're all having a wonderful day. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, it helps out the algorithm. Yeah, a lot has been happening this week. If you haven't been paying attention or maybe were at some point confused as to what's been going on, and I say that because I do have friends who have invested in the market, but a lot of times they see something happening and they usually can't pinpoint exactly what took place in the news. Things, at least at the time of me making this video, look relatively optimistic based off of everything that we've been seeing, especially over the last few months. A lot of weird news, a lot of weird policies, a lot of shifts happening. If you missed over the course of the last, is maybe about 10 days, 10, 11, 12 days, somewhere around there, we began to have news from, once again, all the analysts within the space have been relatively optimistic. You were hard pressed to find anyone who was really down on the market or talking about that things weren't going to look up. I think there was one person, like I mentioned before. Everyone kept on talking about the market recovering. And then around the 20th of April, that's when we got news. All right, that's it. Here we go kind of thing. And since then, everything seems to be relatively shifting a lot further in our favor. If you missed it over the last few days, why the stock markets around the world have been going up, it appears as if at the time of me making this video that a lot of the tariffs or tariff issues that were going on are kind of being dismissed. Apparently, a number of countries have already contacted the United States and or vice versa for some kind of a trade deal in some sort of way. There's not really been given a lot of specifics for these things, but apparently it's been happening. On the secondary part, it appears as if that the tariffs that are currently for China apparently are going to be lessened. The last number I received was we originally had a 40% tariff, and that was risen to an 80 or something like that, and then to 125%. The numbers we're getting now are certain tariffs will be lowered to anywhere between 30 to 50%. Sure, why not? That's giving people a lot of optimism that potentially by the time we get to summer, there might not be any more discussions of tariffs at all. As we currently are seeing, witnessing, I think they're still on pause, many of them, until the 1st of July. I believe that's supposed to be the actual date, but apparently a lot of deals have already been made. On top of that as well, this has been the bigger news. In case you somehow missed it, Trump really wants interest rates to fall within the United States, basically because it allows for cheaper money. That's kind of how the world runs on debt. If you have cheaper interest rates, it allows people to take out money and to lend money at cheaper rates, and therefore quick money becomes a lot cheaper in essence. Jerome Powell has stated before that he does not want to lower interest rates, at least not yet, because of the impact that it's going to have essentially on the world. We spoke about this before in many other videos. A lot of people, and once again, I don't claim to be a genius. It's just complete logic if also you just read and look around. The problem is that the US dollar is the world reserve currency. The other problem is that the US dollar isn't doing well. The other problem is that the US dollar is inflating a lot heavier than people are willing to actually say out loud, and if you lower interest rates, it's going to cause the rate of inflation to increase a lot more. If you go to the supermarket and your eggs are $14 and your milk is $9.95 when it used to be $2.89 before, That's inflation. The inflation numbers that we keep seeing of 2 to 3% are absolute nonsense. The problem is if you lower interest rates, it's going to cause the inflation rate to rise even higher, and then the eggs become $21 and the milk becomes $14.95. I told you before, as I've said in many other videos here and on the other channel, the people who aren't affected by this are the people who have assets. So while it might seem cool and dandy for you that prices might go up as your assets would outpace inflation and you would make tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of dollars from asset prices going up, you're forgetting the other couple 100 million people who would be heavily affected by this. And this is why thus far, Jerome Powell has said he does not want to raise interest rates until inflation actually cools off. The problem is that inflation is not going to cool off because there's nothing actually working to bring inflation down or to bring prices down, especially when you have large amounts of corporate greed and shrinkflation as well, also bringing up prices. So over the last 3 weeks, Trump has expressed his discontent with Jerome Powell, calling him a multitude of names if you haven't seen it on social media. And one of the main fears was that at some point he was going to fire Jerome Powell. Apparently, according to the law, he is literally not allowed to do so. And the other knock-on effect is that if he did, it would cause the US dollar to completely spiral and for inflation to skyrocket. A lot of people on Twitter don't understand why, and I saw a lot of people basically being like, yeah, fire him, let prices go up. Who really cares? Because crypto would go to $1 million. The problem is that the US dollar is barely hanging by a thread, and this is something that most people don't get. There seems to always be some kind of a really weird dystopian idea that Bitcoin would be able to swoop in and kind of take over everything that the US dollar is currently doing. The issue there, my friends, is that Bitcoin currently only does 3 to 5 transactions per second. And before you say XRP does more or this coin does more, none of them are able to keep up with how much demand there actually currently is for the US dollar or any other world currency that we currently have. If the US dollar collapses, the euro collapses. If the euro collapses, the yen collapses. And we go into a deep depression unlike anything that you've ever seen. The idea of getting rid of someone who makes the economic policies as it is meant to be something separate from the president of the United States, as it also is in many other countries. This is why, if you've paid attention over the last few years, a lot of the countries that have had and still have hyperinflation, remember those countries we were talking about 70, 80, 90% inflation, and people who were moving into Bitcoin and other assets as a way to like stabilize, which is a red flag if you need to jump into Bitcoin to be stable. It's because their presidents and their leaders were making the economic policies and everything was falling apart. So the idea is, if you get rid of the person who's making the economic policies, who's trying to stabilize the US dollar and therefore stabilize prices around the world, the economy would completely collapse. So on that news, Trump has recently announced that he apparently has no intention of firing Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell before his term is over, I believe March or April of 2026. This has basically caused the markets to be once again quite optimistic that the US dollar might have a continuation of stable economic policies, continuing the US dollar as the world reserve currency and not crashing other world markets. This has caused the stocks to go up. This has caused crypto to go up. It was also apparently air quote time for the cryptocurrency market to go up, and that's why I kept on posting on Twitter how interesting it was that Plan B and Scottie Pippen, yes, that Scottie Pippen, were oddly enough both correct that the 20th of April was going to be when the market began to move back up. Also, in gigantically unsurprising news, I told you this before, and it will happen forever. Whether prices go down, whether prices go up, this is always going to be the case for the cryptocurrency market. Whales are back with a vengeance. Side note, they actually never left. It's a really weird place. It's a really weird market to always be in, seeing this constant whale activity, but no one pays attention until prices end up moving back up. Whales do not care whether prices are down, whether prices are up. Rich people are still expecting $1 million Bitcoin, and that usually ends up being the giganticest shame within the market, is that rich people know what's going on and they're heavily accumulating, and the prices, should they go down in the cryptocurrency market, tons of people leave. I told you that before. I can always tell when my views go down, and these are the same people who end up rushing back into the market because they realize that they literally missed an opportunity of a lifetime. It's annoying, it's frustrating, it keeps happening over and over, and this is exactly why the rich continue to get richer, because everyone else, heaven forbid, should we have prices go down or sideways for 2 weeks, people leave and they think that the market is completely done for. Large investors are buying Bitcoin at record levels, which may be the precursor to a price explosion. What's this guy's name? Arthur Hayes recently stated, I don't have it in the video, it's nothing too whatever. He recently stated that the movements that we've seen in the cryptocurrency market, should they continue for the next couple of days, will mean that we are going to see very soon a $200,000 Bitcoin. Yes, very soon, not the end of the year, not sometime next year. All the analysts have been saying it over and over and over. It just kind of took the markets to actually move back up in some sort of way for this to seem like an actual reality for a lot of people. Recent statistics indicate that these large holders of Bitcoin, or whales, are acquiring around 3 times the amount of daily Bitcoin produced as the cryptocurrency market sits at key price levels. Yes, this is also something that retail doesn't pay attention to because usually it doesn't make sense to them. A lot of times I see in the comment section, if you happen to write something or you tell me or you indicate that you understand exactly what's going on, kudos to you. I hope you have the best birthday ever. Now, for the other people out there who usually don't end up understanding a lot of these things, it usually has to do just time, momentum, and accumulation. It's a very, very simple thing. If there's only one, let's say there's one Bitcoin being created per day. It's a lot more than that, but I'm simplifying it like crazy. And let's say we hear that there are companies collectively who are also buying up Bitcoin from crypto exchanges and other places and OTC, what have you. And one Bitcoin's being created per day, and we get news that 14 Bitcoin are being accumulated per day. That's exceptionally insane, because that means that they are outpacing 14 times what's been going on. The other issue is that a lot of times, as I keep stating, we're told to focus on just one or two things. So focus on that thing in the market, focus on the ETFs, focus on the futures, focus on that other thing that also appeared in the news. The craziest part is that it's not just the ETFs who are buying, which was also in the news like a day and a half ago about like how much Bitcoin they're accumulating. It's like, no, they've been accumulating Bitcoin nonstop. It's just you've only been hearing about the outflows on the same exact days there are always inflows. Currently, right now, just whale wallets, not the ETFs, not the MicroStrategies, not the MetaPlanet, not the Cathie Woods, yada yada. These are just whale wallets. They're currently accumulating 3 times as much Bitcoin is being created per day. That's insane. They're literally buying up all the Bitcoin, as we've been going over for a while, which is also really weird. I don't know if people are just crazy. I haven't really figured it out yet. Maybe I'm just not there in life yet. We go over this stuff all the time. I mean, really, like literally all the time, every 24 hours. It's some fraction of cryptocurrency news. I remember mentioning it 2 years ago that there wasn't a lot of Bitcoin left, and people like pushing against me, being like, no, there's tons of Bitcoin left. And I don't know if it's people just being rude on purpose. I don't know if you have nothing better to do with your life except for trying to argue with me over like facts and actual numbers. I don't really get it. But I wonder what the word's not apprehension, like what the pushback always is. If I tell you something that's going on, why would you at any point decide that I'm not telling the truth, or I'm simply fabricating something, or I'm over exaggerating? I haven't really figured it out, but as I told you before, these are the people who usually end up and will end up being excessively broke in the future. You spend so much time disagreeing and not paying attention and not wanting to enter the market and looking for a good price point and this to happen. You're wasting all these opportunities, and I don't understand why people live their lives that way, and maybe it's not simply for me. According to Glassnode, investors possessing between 100 and 1,000 Bitcoin are buying up the cryptocurrency aggressively. These giant holders are at present taking on over 300% of the annual supply emission of Bitcoin. And there's a little chart for it right there. Meanwhile, large crypto exchanges are seeing steady outflows of Bitcoin as well. This indicates that increasing numbers of whales and large holders are taking their assets to long-term storage instead of leaving them in the hand of the market for trading. This happens every day. This happens all the time. This happens every bull run. This happens every bear market. It's literally just something that continuously takes place. At some point, people will get it, and it's going to be really sad when they actually do finally get it. It's kind of like seeing a house that's on sale for like $50,000 and then you ignore it because it's $50,000. You see a couple years later, it's on sale on a website for $385,000 and you go, that was a really good investment. And I don't know exactly how the cryptocurrency market is going to look in a couple of years, nonetheless a couple of months, but I do know for certain the people who are going to become the richest are the people who didn't complain and actually kept their head down while all of this was going on. Oh, a very big welcome back. Hello to you, to everyone who left the market when prices dropped. I know you're back now, so good job on leaving for a couple of months when you had big opportunities to be able to accumulate. That's the whales keep buying. These are just whale addresses. These aren't addresses who have 5 Bitcoin who are accumulating 1, 2, or 3 Bitcoin per day. These aren't addresses who have over 1,001 Bitcoin. Do you understand that? Any address that has 7,000 Bitcoin, they might be buying 5 per day. They're not even included in this metric. This isn't corporations either. This isn't the ETF accumulation. When you put all those numbers together, it comes out to around 7 to 10 times as much Bitcoin that's being mined per day. Good luck, everybody. That's the Glassnode news. Let's move on. This is also absolutely, completely insane. I am very interested to see where this leads, what this ends up being like. A lot of people are very excited for it. I'm still timid just because of the last decade of having the exact opposite basically happen. Apparently, there is a brand new SEC chair. His name is Paul Atkins. Paul Atkins is the brand new SEC chair, similar to Gary Gensler, but apparently this guy is completely pro, mega, awesome, ultra loving of crypto. People think that this man in particular is going to send crypto into a brand new age of regulatory clarity, allowing all ETFs to go through, and basically going to send Bitcoin to $1 million in the next year and a half. You think I'm joking? No, everyone is completely like on board and convinced, and I say that lightly because if you missed a couple of videos ago, do you remember what we were talking about? It was Gary Gensler. If you weren't here, Gary Gensler gave an interview, I want to say on CNBC, I don't know. He gave an interview somewhere where basically he was boasting about Bitcoin and how awesome Bitcoin was, and Bitcoin was all these things. Gary Gensler is also a Bitcoin maximalist, and he made sure that he tore the cryptocurrency space apart just to kind of make sure that we did not get a Bitcoin ETF, because ETFs are considered paper Bitcoins. So with this new guy coming in, therefore my timidity, because everyone loved Gary Gensler. If you weren't here, the day Gary Gensler got into office, people were like, this is it. We're about to experience a brand new utopia. So now we have Paul Atkins, and let's see if he can do any better. It says income SEC chair Paul Atkins will apparently, for those of you who didn't know, there are currently more than 70 cryptocurrency ETF applications that have been filed. It says funds pegged to Dogecoin, Pingu, Solana, XRP, and even the Melania meme coin are all in the mix. That's the thing kind of really getting me the most, is that if these coins end up going through, it's basically going to be a disgusting free-for-all for the cryptocurrency space, because people will simply file ETFs for every single coin, which will lead us into another meme coin situation where basically everything looks like it's gold and it's just a turd that is painted. A lot of the coins are kind of a test. If you do not know, they're literally just a test to see how willing or easy this new SEC is going to be. It says after punting on XRP ETFs in March, the agency could delay its final decision until mid-October. Incoming SEC Chair Paul Atkins will have an avalanche of crypto-related applications to sift through when he officially takes control of the regulatory authority. Here's the list right here. It looks absolutely insane. There's crypto ETF, Bitcoin, Ethereum, digital lark, Grayscale, of course. This is the Bitwise one. I think this is the one with 10 cryptos inside of it, with one of them being, what do you call it? Oh, gosh. It was like all the meme coins inside of it. I think that was the one that it kind of took everyone aback, and everyone was like, what the fudge is going on? Litecoin, Solana, Dogecoin, XRP, Cardano, HBAR, Hedera, HBAR, Polkadot, Dogecoin, Polkadot, Avalanche. I think this is a multi Bitcoin in kind. That'll also be very interesting. In kind, basically meaning if you have shares of the fund and you decide to sell them, you will receive Bitcoin as opposed to the US dollar. It is actually incredibly interesting that these are even being proposed, because it would basically allow for the complete circumvention going around even using the US dollar. You might put US dollars in, but you would get crypto back, especially if any other country decides to start making it that you can pay for any of these things like in crypto. It is going to be game over for fiat currencies, Bitcoin in kind, Ethereum in kind, Ethereum staking, which we're also waiting on the news for right now. It is Grayscale and BlackRock, and I believe two other institutions, but these are the big dogs in the room who are trying to get their Ethereum ones to simply start allowing staking. That is going to be absolutely major. Multiple Axel, no, that's something that is also multi-Aptos. Solana, Sui, Pingu, Dogecoin, Solana, XRP. Ooh, a short Solana. Look at that one. Solana, short XRP. There's a Trump listing. ETH, Bitcoin, Solana. I don't have to go on because there's literally 70 plus listings for all of these ETFs currently going on. Yes, this is going to be fascinating. If the US SEC allows all of these to go through, I repeat, it is going to be a gigantically weird, insane free-for-all where a number of companies are going to start listing and applying for any coin just so that the company can make money. Not all of these things shine bright or are optimistic for these coins, simply because you also have to launch them and people have to actually put money into them. Everyone, this really weird smear campaign that we've been seeing with Ethereum, like heaven forbid, on any given day, if Bitcoin had an inflow of 110 million and Ethereum had 8 million, people were like, it's just not doing as well. It's because it's Ethereum. It's not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the #1 coin. So if any of these other coins launch and they have an inflow of 200,000, oh my gosh, it's going to be a really weird thing. But yeah, this is a fascinating time to be in this market. We're definitely at some really weird crossroads. I don't know who else can feel it. I don't know if anybody else wants to feel it or understand exactly what's taking place, but it's incredibly odd. We are witnessing the slow demise of the US dollar. And people don't understand what that means or what that's going to mean for you and for money and for people who are holding crypto and people who are not holding crypto. There are rumors that relatively soon, there's no date. I saw something that said 2 weeks away. I saw Cynthia Lummis talking about imminent, what have you. And Dennis Porter has jumped back into the news as well. As far as like the actual when or and how the United States is going to begin properly accumulating Bitcoin on a certain schedule. We're supposed to get news for that relatively soon. You can see the old system like breaking down and collapsing, like right in front of us. It's kind of one of those things when you saw Japan raise interest rates by 0.25% and like all the markets fell. It's because something is terribly wrong. And then you see institutions jumping into crypto at light speed. And even people within crypto aren't paying attention and they leave and they get scared but yeah, very weird times ahead just because of everything that is currently going on. I think that's going to do it for this video. Yeah, I think it's like a good point to stop it. Hope everyone's been doing well. I hope everyone managed to accumulate or do whatever they need to do in the market. I reiterate once again, I hope everyone continues to make a savings account. A lot of people told me they don't have a savings account. They have no intention of having a savings account. They don't need a savings account. So Godspeed to thee. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.